Alright, more character creation. As I said before, I'm going to be talking about William Krugle, who is Roger's father. Roger is one of the protagonists of the story I'm writing, and obviously William is his father. And usually, what we get from William is, he's a bit of a father figure. He's teaching Roger the ropes of, how to be a shipwright, how to run the shipyard, kind of be in charge of the town as well. Because William, even though he's not, the governor of the or the mayor of the town of Hindon, he's kind of seen as the head man, like the man who's kind of leading the whole port town of Hindon. And in a way, William is leading the town because he is looking after everyone. He's making sure everyone is employed. Most of the men of the town have jobs at his shipyard, so he teaches most of the men how to construct ships and all that. He also handles a lot of the trade and you know he sort of has sort of counsel over the merchants that come along and all that. um when ships dock in, there's a bit of management with that as well. So he kind of oversees a lot of what happens with this port town, because that's most of the activity that goes on in this town anyway. They're not exactly close enough for farm work and stuff, and because a lot of farming, harvest, and agriculture goes to the main port on that side of the country of Monrovia. Yeah, the main port where a lot of the agriculture and stuff goes to is the port of Journos. And so, given that Hindon is a smaller port, it doesn't get as much trade as Journos does, nor does it get as many visitors. But luckily, William is a well-renowned shipman and a shipwright and built constructor of boats and ships and all that. So that's sort of where a lot of the finances come in, with the ships that William is in charge of. And as you find out from chapters previous to this 30th chapter that I'm currently writing, people do come to him for, when they want a well-built ship, because he does have a reputation for that. I did say, and I did mention in another video, that William is actually a very big and pivotal character in the overall story that I'm writing, and that is true. And I did mention that he is one of the main characters, or one of the main protagonists of, we could say, the prequel book that I'll write for this story. But that's not going to be until well into the future, because I need to get this one done first, and this one is nowhere near complete. But yeah, when I get to that point, William is one of the main characters of the prequel story, and so there's going to be a lot of things that he is going to go through, and a lot of the story will unfold and develop with him and what happened with him in his younger days. I won't be really mentioning any of that in this character creation video, because I can't have too many spoiler alerts. But I will just say that he's an extremely big character, and he's a very big influence in the whole universe of this story I'm writing. And a lot of the things that happen with him, they're massive, and you'll kind of see a reflection of his character through his son, as his son Roger grows older and goes through things in his life. I'll just say that. But for now, I needed to just have a small basis of the character of William, because he's going to be part of the 30th chapter, and I thought it would be nicer to have, just a solid current background for him, like, and what's going on for him right now in his life right now as this 30th chapter does unfold. So like I said, he's pretty much the head man of the town of Hindon. And so you can kind of see he's in charge, and a lot of people listen to him, and what he says goes. And in a sense, if you read the previous chapter, you can see that he is now becoming more involved in increasing the protection and security of this town, because this town has gone through a lot of things. Being the head man of the town, he does want to ensure that the peoples are safe, that people can look after themselves. He had already established a sort of security system of things that I called safety boats. So when the town is in danger, everyone can head to the docks, hop onto these boats and sail out to a safer area rather than staying in danger in the town. So he's already created that. But as we found out in previous chapters, that hadn't always been the most successful way to look after the townsfolk. And so he's kind of stepping up things that they need to do by getting the workers at his shipyard to learn more combat and self-defense techniques. But as of course we'll find out with the 30th chapter, something that takes time, like developing skills for combat and self-defense, it's not very helpful when danger is just around the corner. And as the lead man, he does have to eventually step in when things do erupt in this chapter. And so I need just a little bit of I thought it would be nice where I just know exactly where this character is, like where William is, and like what he's been going through, what his priorities are, what his concerns are, how he is, what's in his mind and stuff. And so I'll have a bit of a breakdown for him. So it's not too obvious, or maybe it is, but as I've been writing him in all the previous chapters, especially in front of his son Roger, he seems a bit like a bit of a stern man. Like, he doesn't really show his emotions. He's more like the kind of man that's just like, he always keeps a straight face, and he always tries to do the right thing, because whenever he's around his son, he wants to show that he's leading, he's in charge, and he wants to show his son, like, hey, we can't be too emotional or anything, we need to get things done, this needs to be sorted out, this needs to be sorted out. You always got to be on top of stuff. There's no time for whining, there's no time for complaining, there's no time for being upset. You got to get things done. So he always comes off as a bit of a stern person, because really, he's just he's a human, of course. He's just a human, and we all feel things. We all have emotions, and so I guess currently what you always get from him is he's the type of guy that just suppresses his emotions, especially in front of his son. Well, I guess in front of everyone, really, like the townsfolk and stuff, because he feels that people need to see him as always on top of things. He doesn't want to show weakness or anything. So he does suppress his emotions. But, of course, with, always suppressing your emotions so much, there is the case of where all this bottling up can eventually lead him to, like, burst into an outburst of intense emotion and such. So maybe this little detail I'm adding right now is something we may witness, we may not. It's hard to say. I'm still writing this chapter, and of course the rest of the story. And I guess the challenge that he faces with that is, at times, there are times where he needs to kind of just engage with how he's really feeling, and, accept his passions or like his urges towards things. If he's really upset about something, he needs to accept that and do something about it, act upon it. You can't just always just be like, oh no, everything's gonna be okay, I'm just gonna be a hard ass about everything. No, because sometimes he does need to show everyone what he's really concerned about, what his main concerns are, and such. So I guess the challenge with him is like, with suppressing his emotions, he needs to take, not charge, but he needs to accept sudden urges that he might be feeling. Not like, like stupid little urges, but like, when he knows like, oh, okay, we better do this, we should do this, rather than always trying to be proper and, buy the book. Sometimes a man needs to step outside the box and, do what he really feels inside. And maybe in this chapter we'll see him face that challenge. We'll see. So what we can figure out with him and all the previous chapters is that, yeah, he's become a very strong and well-tempered leader, especially leading his town of Hindon. So he's very, besides suppressing his emotions, he's very in control of them as well. And being a good leader that has good control of his emotions, maybe too much control, but control nonetheless, he knows to always stay calm, especially in the face of danger or in the face of troublesome situations. He always stays calm. He never, acts too frantically and makes silly sudden decisions. He always slows down and thinks out what the best solution could be. So as a good leader, his strong points are that when matters arise, he can look at them with care, concern, and he uses diplomacy. Because he knows that, given his history, because you find out later, he was badass. In the previous episode, like, he used to be real badass. Like, he's well known in his country and around all the other worlds and countries, because yeah, he was badass back in the day. And now that he's in a different role where he's like in charge of a town and stuff, he's become more calm, and he knows, like, maybe being badass isn't always the way. He's more concerned about being more diplomatic and getting things done so people don't get hurt, or innocents don't get hurt. Like, he wants to lessen the collateral damage as such, which makes him quite the renowned and wise leader, and which is why the whole town respects him. He handles things very well. As he's been looking after his town, he doesn't realize that he's really set up his small town of Hindon for growth, with his skill in constructing ships and what he's teaching all the lads at the shipyard. Like, they're actually doing very well, and they're all becoming quite skillful building ships. And soon enough, he will get news when more people come and more people talk about how awesome the ships he makes are. There's gonna be a lot of activity coming to the town in terms of requesting more ships built and stuff, especially since the growth of things in the new lands in the Midway Isles. Maritime life, I don't know if that's what you call it, but that is growing exponentially, especially in terms of traveling to the new lands and such, given that where Hindon, Journos, where it is in position of Morosia, and how it is the ports you need to get to first to travel to the new lands and Midway Isles. Yeah, people want ships built, and they want like the best ships built, and where else to go but the best shipbuilder around. So he is going to come to realize that too. Like, wow, man, my town is like, it's really growing, and we need to develop it more so we can meet the demands of everyone who wants a ship. because the kingdom's going to be asking for some good ships too, and he needs to get things done. And you know maybe he could eventually call for more protection from the kingdom, who's kind of been ignoring that side of the country, because everything's happening on the other side of the country, on the southern side. That's where most of the action is. So up north where they are, it's a bit less involvement with the realm of the kingdom. And since life outside, traveling by sea to all these new places that everyone's trying to create settlements in, yeah, there is going to be a big boom in his town. Being the man in charge, he needs to be he needs to be on top of that. So William knows that when he started really taking charge of this town, that the growth of it was gonna always come, but he always took it very slowly, and he always worked, and he always wanted to make sure everything grew well and steadily. So I guess this sudden boom that's gonna pop up is kind of gonna rattle him a bit. It's like, oh wow, like we need to like really develop the town, really grow. I need to get more people in here. I need to get more workers and such. And yeah, so his plans for a slow growth aren't exactly going to work out in a sense. And especially because a lot of trouble has been coming around as well. So that's already another indicator of the growth that he needs to apply in being in charge of this town. But being such a experienced and talented and well-renowned man, he knows that he's got the ability to get it all done. He has the skills. He knows all about the work that needs to be done. He knows all about managing people, managing resources and all that. He's extremely skilled. There's a reason why he's respected as the man in charge. And yeah, so he will get on top of all that. Yeah, so I already talked about the growth that's happening there. What he needs to understand is that there's always time for him to rest and just really enjoy what's happening around him, because whether he sees it or not, the town's already pretty good. He's already created such an amazing little town. It's fruitful. Everyone's progressing. He's employed everyone that needs that. He's kept everyone busy. He's really done a good thing. And sometimes he could just sit back and then just enjoy whatever's going on. We find out in the earlier chapters of the story that he's a bit hard on his son. He's always wanting his son, like, no, you have to learn this, you have to do that. And he doesn't let the kid just be a kid and enjoy himself. So sometimes William does need to just sit back and enjoy what he's already created, what he's already developed. Of course, I said there's going to be a boom very soon, and that's when he has to step up again. But for now, just relax, bro. Everything's good. You've actually done so much. But yeah, as this boom comes around, I guess one of the things that he does face is because he's trying to change from his old self, from a very passion driven, doing what he wanted kind of guy, to a now more calm, collected, reserved man in charge. He kind of doubts himself, and he doubts what he can achieve. He actually has all the skills to get everything done, but he has a lot of self-doubt because he always feels like he's gonna risk people's lives and the safety of everyone because of past mistakes he's made. He's gone through a lot of things back in his days where he's made some significant mistakes that have, let's just say, put people in peril. And so he will always kind of carry that self-doubt where, like, he's worried that his choices aren't going to be the best. And with that kind of slight hesitance, sometimes he doesn't make the best decisions as well, because he holds himself back from, you know, the urges of passion that he knows, like, oh, maybe I should really follow this. No, no, no. But he's just like, oh no, I'm holding himself back. I gotta suppress my emotions and such. Yeah, so the suppressing of emotions does create, you know, a sort of self-doubt in his ability as well. But in the end, he'll get through everything. He's more than capable. He's a capable man. He's an amazing man. He's one of the most important characters in the pre-story, and yeah, we'll see what a great man he is, and you know what a role model he is for his son as the story develops. And yeah, so he will, you know, reach a, you know, fulfillment, you know, with the town he's created, the family and the son he has looked after, and everything's gonna be good for him. Happy endings. Well, I forgot to talk about. Oh, I forgot to talk about the themes. You know, I love having like specific themes for each character. So I guess even though he wants a more settled life, and you know, just looking after the town, he doesn't realize that since he is such a strong and capable person, he's the person that needs to be in charge and stand and be resilient when things get hard. He wants to rest and he wants to chill and he just wants like slow stability. But given that he's such a powerful person, he needs to stand up and fight, and he is the one that is expected to stand up and fight. People rely on him to stand up and fight and take charge. So that's one of the themes, like, you know, even though he tries not to, he knows like, oh man, all right, I gotta step up. I need to, you know, lead, and not just lead the town, but like, you know, really step up to when things get hard. He's the one that people rely on, and he knows that everyone relies on him. He's like, okay, so you know, standing up and resilience, and always and still having to be really strong, especially like inside. That's one of the main themes that always occur with him. It's pretty much, you know, the responsibilities of a leader. And I guess another underlying theme that he's always worked with in himself is the idea of justice, as I spoke in another character creation. He's aware of, you know, the laws of the universe and how justice works, and he knows, like, you know, justice must be served and justice will be served. So given his understanding of the laws of karma, it does govern how he acts and behaves now as well, because he learnt that in the past, you know, how karma works. So he does always try to bring good karma, and in a sense he doesn't see it driving him, but he acts for karma as well and brings justice, given that he is in the position to bring justice. But yeah, I can't say too much about him. Let's just know that he's one of the main characters in the pre-story, and William, he's a big dog, and as we'll find out in this current chapter I'm writing, chapter 30, people respect him, and not just the people of town, but people outside of town. They don't want to mess around. Let's just say, even though this old man doubts who he is, or doubts himself and his respect and command, he's still a big dog in front of those who try to be a big dog. But anyway, that's the character creation of William Krugle. Maybe I'll bring more about that in the future. Take care.